Hello and welcome to week 4. We're just kind of cruising along this semester. There's a couple of things that I wanted to talk about today. So first off is how the grade shows up, how your grade is showing up in myOpenMath. I still need to figure out how to, well, I still need to get things sorted out so I can get them imported into Moodle, the grades. Ultimately, that's where the once I get this sorted out, that's where your grades will be visible. Specifically, grades that have to do with your tests and stuff like that will probably be different between myOpenMath and Moodle. The grade that's actually input into Moodle will take into account any of the like partial credit and those sorts of opportunities. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But the yeah, okay, I was just making sure it's recording. I forgot what else I was going to say there. Yeah, I got distracted. In any case, so one of the things I wanted to talk about in the gradebook here, if you click on the gradebook, you can see on this particular account, I have missed the first 3 assignments, and then I actually did a few more assignments in here. And let's look at what these grades are. So there's the total. There's 2 different categories to look at. There's past due and then past due and attempted. Past due, this only considers the assignments that already have due dates that have passed. Currently, it is the 20th. And so these assignments here, these are the 4 where the due dates have actually passed. And you can see the past due grade that's showing up on here. 3 of the 4 I've gotten zeros on, and then I got 100% on that 4th one. So you can see it kind of makes sense. I've gotten 1 out of 4 assignments done, I should say. I have a 25% for my score here. So that's, like I said, when you're looking at the past due, that's only looking at the assignments whose due dates have passed. Past due and attempted, this one looks at all of the assignments that either are past due or I've already done some steps, some parts of them. So let's see that these ones right here, these 4, like I said already, they're past due. These 2 here have been attempted, and this one here has been attempted. So you can see there's 7 assignments that have been attempted, and I've gotten 4 out of these 7. They're 100%, so the computation is a little easier than it may otherwise be. But 4 out of 7. Let me pull this over here. Really, 4 out of 7? Oh, it's trying to do it in binary. 4 out of 7 in decimal, there we go, is, you can see 57.14 or whatever, and you can see that's what shows up as my grade here. So hopefully that clears up any confusion as far as what these grades mean. Basically, if you're just finishing up the assignments, it shouldn't really matter that you can see exactly what the grades mean, but at least this way you can get an idea of why there's 2 different numbers here. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to talk about, or another thing I wanted to talk about, I should say, is when the next few sections that are coming up due. Hopefully, section 1.3, yeah, section 1.3 is due today, I believe. Just look at this. Section 1.3 is due tomorrow. Hopefully, you've already done some work on that. I talked about that a little last week, specifically concave up and concave down, that sort of thing. Section 1.4 has to do with composition of functions. So when you're talking about functions, this really does rely on the fact that you're going from, let's say we have 2 functions, f and g. You take some input, it goes into f, then you take the output from f and you feed it into g, and then you take the output from that, and that's your final answer. So the outputs from f would correspond to the inputs of g. So when you're talking about the domains of, the domain of g, that's going to, it'll restrict things on what you can plug it into. So, as far as you may have to consider, if there's something restricted from the domain of g, you have to figure out what would give that as an output from f, because that shouldn't be in the domain of f of g of, or g of f of x, I think is what I said, whatever. Let's see. So that's composition of functions. But yeah, it's really just focusing on one function and then another one. Or maybe one function and then itself again, taking the output and then being fed back into the original function. You'll see a couple of those. Then we skip a little bit to section 1.6. This is dealing with function inverses. So in this case, if you have a function and you just flip around, instead of having going from the input to the output, the function inverse of f would go the other direction. It would tell you what input over here gave you this output. And of course, we do need, there is the possibility of, let's say, one input or more than one input gives the same output, then that would mean that that function would not be invertible, because I wouldn't be able to say what output would, what was the one input if there were two. In any case, you'll see that material soon enough. Of course, send me your questions if you have them. I haven't gotten any questions from that section, I don't think. But that could just be because that's the due date's technically a week out. I did want to talk about it today because, well, let me just pull up the schedule again here. I wanted to talk about it today because I'm probably, you may or may not see the video before you actually start working. You probably won't see the video before you start working on section 1.6, possibly before you finish working on 1.6, but in any case. And you can see coming up next week, I did add an item onto the schedule here because I realized that that it wasn't showing up for you, that there was a test on next Thursday. So this will be the first test of the semester. Next Thursday, that is September 30th. And if you go into, so currently I'm just in the calendar here. That's how I'm able to see this. If you go ahead and click on that, you can click into the testing information. Actually, I guess you can also, it shows up down here now. If you click into tests and tests, I'm not sure why there's two tests there, but whatever. Test one information. This is just a placeholder so you can get some information about the test before the actual event. So, read through this. I'll talk about it a little bit more next week. I just wanted everyone to be aware that it's going to be taking place next Thursday. All right. And I think that's all I need to say today. Again, keep sending me your email if you have any questions, and I'll see you around.